Like in any other walk of life, we should not have caste system in healing. There shouldn't be different castes of people. Western medicine, alternate medicine, complementary medicine. This is a copy of the American style, CAM. CAM is an American word, which but what I like about Americans is they teach CAM in the conventional medical college. Their course is 4 years because it's after graduation, which they call as MD, but 3.5 years they teach the Western medicine. I don't want to call it as modern medicine, Western medicine. And the 6 months they teach what's called CAM. Very interestingly, Ayurveda is excluded in CAM. So I was fighting with the American establishment. But the reason is not America, reason is our government. You can practice acupuncture in New York, legally. You can't practice Ayurveda in New York. Because China did not forget their past when they became independent in 1948. We of course had British leaders in India after independence. You probably don't know these incidents. When they wanted to have a C-in-C, Commander-in-Chief, our then Prime Minister called all the generals in the army and said, look, we don't have a really experienced man to be a C-in-C. So why not we have a British man invited here to be a first C-in-C? There was this General Rathod who had the courage to talk to the Prime Minister, and he got up and said, Mr. Prime Minister, since we do not have an experienced man to be the Prime Minister, why don't we invite a Britisher to be the Prime Minister of India? And our friend was completely stunned. He never expected that answer. So he said, would you like to be the C-in-C? He said, no. We have a C-in-C, potential C-in-C, who is better than any British C-in-C or general, and that is General Cariappa. That is how General Cariappa became the C-in-C first time. So unfortunately what happens is, we have been having Western ideas, I call them RNIs, resident non-Indians. They live here, but their mind and the intellect is from the West. So they continued the Western thoughts and never ever allowed Ayurveda and other systems to grow under the tutelage of the government. So it grew on its own, that's a different thing, because it can grow. Even if you try to kill Ayurveda, it won't die, because Ayurveda is the mother of all medical wisdoms in this universe, if you really go deep into history. Alexander the Great invaded India, but of course he didn't come to India, but his army came up to North India. He couldn't go down further because malaria killed most of the soldiers. But while they went back, they took all the Pandits and the texts from India. And they went back to Alexandria. Alexander did not go back. He found a beautiful girl in Persia and called himself the Emperor of Persia and died of typhoid fever. And the treatment in Western medicine for typhoid fever was bloodletting. When he died, he wrote a beautiful thing. He said, his dead body must be carried by doctors, to show to the world that these so-called doctors, Western medical doctors, have not been able to save the great emperor. Number two, his hands must be outside the coffin, to say that the emperor did not take anything with him. Three, all the germs and other things must be strewn all over the road on the path to the cemetery. Because people should know that wealth collecting does not really help. You collect all the money, and if you want to be happy, give it. Beautiful thoughts. Anyway, the textbooks went to Alexandria, and Alexander had built a beautiful, what you call academia, a beautiful hall for people to come there and exchange ideas and brainstorm. What a thoughtful thing in those days. And Alexandria lived on even after Alexander died. And Alexandria, the Greeks had two kinds of meetings. One is called seminar, the other one is called symposia. Seminar is derived from semen. So if you have a seminar, you must have a new idea at the end of that. Because semen produces a new baby, it's a new idea. Symposium is a nice word for Greeks. You come there, talk, discuss, agree to disagree, eat, drink, and go. So most of our meetings are the second half. The first half doesn't come. So the scholars there studied Ayurveda, and if you look at Hippocrates' treatise, It is nothing but a translated version of Charaka Samhita. The pulse examination, the Tridosha theory, the humus theory, and if you go deep into it, almost everything is copied. What do you call modern medicine now? See, we have an idea, anything modern must come from America or the West. Otherwise it's not modern. That is not the meaning of the word modernity. Modernity should come from our antiquity. We improve our antiquity and become modern. That's the idea. I'll give you one example in this context before I forget. Lot of work has been done on Ayurvedic drugs, homeopathic drugs, based on the Western model of reductionism. Now, for example, you want to study something in Ayurveda. Even the government of India was at that time sponsoring what's called a golden triangle method. That is, you know this drug helps this disease, so you don't have to search for it. You take the Ayurvedic drug, find out what chemical it has got. That's what these chemists mostly think. The chemical is the most important thing. And take the chemical out and then study it. I had written to the then Director General, whose baby it was, that this won't work because it is not the bits that make the whole. Remember that? If you now understand quantum physics, it's the interconnectedness that makes the whole. When you don't have the interconnectedness, nothing works. For example, garlic. Come, madam. Morning. Yeah. Yes. The bits do not have the properties of the whole. Give an example. There are 42 studies on garlic pearls. At the end of which, the British Medical Journal editor wrote an editorial. Garlic is good for cooking, but not for as a medicine. So I wrote to her, Fiona, you have not done any studies on garlic. What you have done studies is garlic pearls. Good boy. What you have done is, sulfhydryl group. So you take the SH group and make the garlic into a pearl. So it's good for the germs for their health in the toilet. It will go directly out as nothing. I wrote to her, if you want to do studies on garlic, you must have garlic, take it in the mouth, munch it for half a minute, 2 minutes. Then it becomes the alanine in garlic, gets mixed with the trypsin in the saliva and becomes allicin. And allicin is a medicine. So some young scientists in Tata Institute of Fundamental Research caught up with this paper and they did something phenomenal. Brahmi, you know Brahmi ek patta? So they said, lot of work has been done on Brahmi's extracts, nothing happened. These boys made a chutney out of Brahmi, which my grandmother used to do before I went for the exam, and she used to give it. It was good for memory, she used to say. When I went to the medical school and got my degree and all, I thought, my grandmother is a bloody fool. What does she know about it? That's what we think, the Western thoughts. Anyway, these boys did that and fed a group of rats. Within 6 months, the rats became so brilliant, they could get out of any maze. They killed the rat. And what they found was the hippocampus major, the area of the brain which is for memory. Mind you, the mind is not in the brain, but the memory is in the brain. And that has become 3 times its normal size. And when they cut open the hippocampus major, they found the cells were hyperactive. So this paper you must read. It's so beautiful a paper done by this. And they got a crore of grant also from the granting agency. Usually the grants are not coming for this kind of studies. So it is not the bits and pieces that make the thing, it's the whole that makes the thing. That's the essence of Ayurveda and the essence of everything. Western medicine only follows reductionism. You take a chemical, a part of it, and do what is called RCT, randomized control trials, and which we think is the basis of all our scientific medicine, quote unquote, scientific medicine. What is the science? This is the difference. So modernity should come from our antiquity. There's an old saying in Latin, respice to prospice. If you want to look forwards, you will look backwards. Even throwing a javelin throw, you don't throw like this, it won't go far. Take it back and throw it, it'll go very far. So go back to our ancient wisdom. Everything that is in the modern science now, I'm not talking the conventional dead Western science of physics, chemistry and biology. The modern evolutionary science, evolutionary biology, systems biology, which comes to Ayurveda. Quantum physics. Quantum physics has almost come to Advaita. And quantum physics has now revolutionized scientific look at what we do. Come back, as So beautifully put by Max Planck, there is no perception without a perceiver. Let us say, I do work on a rat or a dog and say it is science. If you do on the same rat work, the results will be 40% difference. If a woman does work on the rat and a man does work on the same rat, difference can be 20 to 60%. If you change your pheromone, you just put on a nice scent, whole body you bathe with a very expensive scent and go and do the work, it will be different. The rat has a perception. You have a perception. You have a consciousness, rat has a consciousness, and they interact, and the results are totally different. This is very interesting. This shows that all our Western scientific reductionist studies are not true, which is being proved one by one. Like, for example, Karthikeyan was talking about cholesterol. I said cholesterol cannot be a disease for the simple reason that if you try to lower your cholesterol, the body will produce more cholesterol. If you try to stop the cholesterol being made, because 90% of the cholesterol is made in your liver, because for your good, let us say you live a very high-fly life on the edge of it. You know, you are running after money, you are running after power, you are running after chair. I always tell people, Indians are Pita Jnanis. They may not be Jnana Pitas, but they are Pita Jnanis. They know how to sit in the chair and how to get someone out of the chair and occupy the chair. Now come to that level of what is happening now is, we run a life which is full of stress. I want to destroy somebody. I want to take him off that chair and sit there. All this will make you very, very tense. And to save you at that time, to produce more steroids to keep you going, you require more cholesterol. If you don't have cholesterol, you can't make steroid hormones. So body makes more cholesterol for your own good. Otherwise, what you eat, whether you eat grass or you eat beef every 3 times a day, it doesn't matter, because 10% of the cholesterol comes from the food. Actually, in 1960, late 60s, we had a BBC big debate on cholesterol. There was one lady, she had a big diary. She gave a challenge to everybody on the television. She said, whatever is your cholesterol level, come to me. I'll give you milk in the morning, milk in the afternoon, milk at night, and get your cholesterol down. At that time, I thought she was foolish, but now I know she is right, because if you feed more cholesterol from outside, your body will produce less cholesterol. See, that's what's called the body's intelligence. Now anyway, I'm very happy that recently, not recently, 3 years ago, the American government, the USDA, which once in 5 years it gives its pronouncement, saying that cholesterol is not a disease, so you must eat better and you must eat more. And they said eggs, bacon and ham are probably the ideal breakfast rather than eating all that junk that you have today. Now this U-turn came after millions of people have suffered from cholesterol lowering drugs. So let us not in the first place ape everything that is the Western one and think it is modern, and then you call it as a modern science.